give an introduction about yourself and you can start.
Okay, so hey everyone, my name is Karuna and I'm an open source enthusiast. I've been in open source from last year's November. So the main reason I got into open source is definitely Eddie because I've been into this community for long, so I learned everything from that. And so we could begin our session first. So I'll start with what is open source. Like the first word when you hear, uh, you could be very curious about it. Like what exactly is it?
Yes, what is
There are two words. Open. Yep. Yeah, you can ask.
no, just you can just explain. What is open?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So the two words open and source. So that is the software are basically of two types, which whose code is not for the public, like the code is not for seen by the public and which is seen by the public. So open source software is designed to be publicly accessible, where you can just go and check the code or modify, do changes, and even distribute it. So that kind of code is open source code, and it has a set of values for which is freedom to use, study, and modify and share. So open source helps you to study the code. Like if you take a project and see the code, you could see how it is written, how it is modified, or how it is structured and everything. So you could use it and you could make changes according to it, or you could add new features. You could do anything you want with the existing code. So that is a big benefit for you to study it. And the second is like, um, you are using the open source technology every day. Like you might not know it actually, but you are using it. See, suppose for me, I am using it, the Firefox web browser. It is an open source web browser. So there are many apps which you use daily. And for an example, I'll say like, let's say you go to Play Store and download an app. You might see there are ratings, right? There are comments, reviews, and ratings, right? So in the review section, you might see there are people complaining about the app, like some bugs are there. You might say the login does not work or something. There's something which is broken. You write it down in the Google Play. Those are for the apps which whose code is not publicly available. What the benefit in open source code is, like, if the app is not working and you're using it daily and you know the repo, like on GitHub or any platform where the code is accessible to you, you could just go and raise an issue to the developers. Directly the developers team will get to know that the this thing is broken in your app or something, right? So you could just raise an issue, and this will also help them and us um, to connect with the development process, like how it's going. You could check how it's done, or how the things go there in actual app development process, right? So yeah, think of open source as adding your knowledge or gaining to the existing one. Like suppose you write a blog post, and you can see the comments in the blog post, like you missed this point. Same thing is with the open source. Like there's a project and you see, okay, this is missing. You go there, tell them, raise an issue or raise a pull request if you are technically good with it. So okay, we'll talk about issues and pull requests later on, because I'm just explaining it in a way that you could understand right now, but don't stress much on the issues and pull requests right now. So yeah, you could just go to the app place and you could say this is missing, so they'll get to know that okay, this is missing, so we could do it in a better way. You could optimize it, right? At first glance, these values appear only useful to community activists and developers, but not only us, it will be also helpful to the people who use it, and also in the marketplace. Like if you release your app, you'll see few apps which are developed only by a solo developer, which is which gets heavy later. Like the developer might not be able to do it all alone, or the quality might not be good. But if you are making an app you by publicly, like open source, you could see people coming and telling that, okay, this works, this doesn't, this could be improved, this could be added. So all those are good points of open source. So why should you do open source? You learn to work with peers. Like suppose I'm at my laptop, I'm doing something, and I'll tell my friend who is living across the world, maybe something like USA or something, and she'll say, okay, you could do this. This connection can be established by using open source stuff, because internet, right? So even if you are not connected, you could connect with virtually using the tools like GitHub and all. You could communicate using that, and you learn from them, your seniors or everyone, so that okay. Also, it encourages innovation through collaboration. Like you could collaborate through the through your seniors, and big companies will be using your piece of code if you contribute to it. Like suppose for example, there is Red Hat, there is Free Code Camp is an organization. Such organizations have their code open sourced, so you could just go to their repository and you could contribute something, even if you fix a typo. That is a valid contribution, right? So when your change is merged into the repo, you will be counted as a contributor. So that is also a good point for why you should use open source, or do you do open source. And it lets your work speak for you on your resume. Like you don't have to say like I have these skills or anything like that. You could just say, here's my GitHub repo, here's what the work I have done, and you could check these out, these organizations I have contributed to them. So this is a plus point to say that, okay, I have this much knowledge of these technologies, I have contributed to these, right? So it lets you speak for yourself.
In between,
Now
what are the basic things that we have to know to start into the open source, or like anything basic?
basic is like, first I'll say you need to be familiar with GitHub, then you need to learn Git, right? So Git is a version control, uh, which helps you to check the what you call, the process of
Like
your
tracking the
project. Yep,
changes that we are doing in GitHub. Okay.
yep.
Okay.
So those two are the basic which you need to learn. Then obviously there's your tech stack, which you for what you want to contribute to the project. Like I might say I use Python, so I might do that. You might say you like JavaScript and you develop in that, so you could have those skills to contribute. Even if you don't have, don't worry, you could just go fix some typos, fix some small bugs, which does not need the technical skill much for the practice. And yep. So like, now where to start? After learning all the Git and GitHub, you'll be familiar with that, and it will be easy for you to get started. You can choose a project you want to contribute to. Like there are many projects. You could go to an organization and see their projects. You might be interested in contributing to something, right? So you could choose the project according to your technical knowledge or skills, anything. Then you could go and look out for the issues. The issues might be sometimes like very lengthy, and you might not really understand it. So if you are just a beginner right now, I might say you could go for the label good first issues. There's a label, and you could just sort it out by checking in the labels, and then you could see that those issues are quite simple. So you could just go on and start contributing. If you don't understand, do not hesitate to ask the maintainers. And I'd say do not be spammy for the maintainers, because most of the people who do open source are volunteers, students, or even if they do have job, But open source is not what they do continuously, right? So like uh, it should not be spammy, and you should have patience. So like when they get back to you, it takes a lot of time sometimes. So yep. So these are the points, how and where you should start. Also, you could do one thing, like if you have friends, right, who are in the development field, you could just go say hi to them and ask them for their GitHub username and say, let's collaborate on something. They might have few projects which they are already working on, and you could go and say, okay, this issue looks good, can I contribute to it? So they might guide you out. So this is what should you do, this is what you should not. Even if your friends are just beginners like you could say, okay, come on, let's sign up on GitHub, make an account, and you could exchange your usernames. You could do that in chat right now. I won't be any disappointment. That would be a very happy moment for me, because you're just starting out right now. See, okay, then you could exchange your GitHub usernames and start writing your README. um, README is something like your resume of your work in GitHub, right? So when you start your README, you could say your username/username gets you README for yourself, which will be available when you click on anyone clicks on your profile. It will be the front page for you. So you could just go to each other's README and say, you have this typo, or you should put these sections like these, or do something. So these also counts as contributions to each other, right? So these simple contributions will help you practice your Git and GitHub skills, plus you'll collaborate, and you could do the same with others. Even if they are not your friends, you could just go to the explore page. You'll see a list where there are trending repos, the repositories which are trending. You could see that. You could go to some repo which matches your technical skill or your tech stack, and then you could see the issues. Those are also a good place to start with, right? Now you might have heard a lot about green squares, and many have questions like, why should you even get green squares? Like, what's the purpose? Why? Just why? So those are friendly green squares, right? Okay. You might have seen LinkedIn posts, Twitter posts saying that, okay, yay, I completed these many days of getting green squares. Some are like 1,100 and something, some streak, right? Uh, Most of you might be using Snapchat, I suppose. I don't know. So in Snapchat, you send your friends snaps and you get streaks. This is similar to the green squares too. You'll see a GitHub profile which has a box, and you'll see the number of days they continuously contributed. Green squares are a metric of your contribution, basically. So like if you contribute, if you raise an issue, if you raise a pull request, if you open up a discussion in GitHub, you could see all these when you get familiar with GitHub and Git. So when you do these things, you'll get a green square. It looks something like this without eyes, mouth, and legs. Okay. So yep.
Yeah.
How does these green squares help?
Karuna, the one question from a chat box. Is GitHub is the
Yeah.
only place where we can start our open source? Is there any other platform?
No. There are many. Like there's Gitbucket, there's Gitpod. There's not only GitHub, but there are many. You could just search it out. I gave two names. So most popular one is GitHub, because everyone uses it, right? It's not something like you should only use GitHub, but it's just popular so that everyone is there and it's used really. I think another one is what you say? Wait, I think I should have one. There's Gitbucket, Gitpod. Okay, I'll let you know about it soon in the chat.
Okay, okay. Let's continue.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, why are green squares important, or what's the importance? So green squares are the metric of your contributions, like how much did you contribute in a day. You could see a green dot or a square in the profile in when you scroll it down. You'll see if you raise an issue or if you commit something to your project, you could see you could see a square or dot, green one. So why is that? It shows how many contributions you have done in a day. You will get when you commit, you will get when you raise an issue, you'll get when you raise a pull request, you'll get when you open a discussion, right? So these are the four metrics, and it's not compulsory like you should get it daily, but it shows that you are doing it. Your consistency improves, your development skills, like when you do it daily, it becomes habitual to do it, and then you keep on you keep on improving. So that's one thing. And whenever some recruiters or any clients click on your profile, they could scroll down and see that okay, this person is very active, right? This matters, the activity matters. Also I'd like to say that don't commit don't keep a repo and keep committing one-on-one letter or adding one-on-one something to it and you'll get green squares. No, that's not the valid contribution. You should contribute it properly, like if you are doing your project, you could commit to it, or if you are committing or adding some value to others projects, that's okay. But don't do this like you have a repo and you are keep on making changes little bit daily to get green squares only and to fill the box. That is not the point here. The point is to add value to others and do your contribution properly. So that's the value of green square. So yep, we'll let's get on to pros and cons of contributing to open source. So pros, you get benefits, and you might ask how. um, Benefits could be as some recruiter coming to your profile and seeing, okay, she is very active, okay, she has these skills, which is already, we started with the readme, right? So when you keep your readme neat and clean and describe yourself there, put your skills, put your tech stack you use, everything, that will be the first impression of your github for anyone, right? So that looks professional and they might like it. Then they might scroll down and see your green squares, your activity, where did you contribute. All those are listed out in your GitHub profile itself, so they could see that. And they might say you are very active and might offer you something like an internship or a job. This happened a lot when I see a Twitter tweets about it, like um, some recruiter came to this person by seeing their GitHub profile and gave them something, like offered them a job or an internship, right? So those are the benefits you can get. Also, if that's not happening, you could just keep on doing what you're doing, keep the hustle up, and you'll still get benefits of collaboration, and you'll still make good friends, make add value, do some good work which might be useful, some useful projects which can go to the trending page next day. So yep, then you get recognition. Yep. So when you make good projects and people keep on contributing to it, your project grows and your skills grows, your soft skills grows. Yeah, talking about soft skills, like when you do open source, you need to have a proper communication with others in order to move forward with anything. Like if you say that this person is asking you some question and you need to answer it in a professional way, like guide them, right? So you could these skills could be improved. And you could say, if you help someone, some person is having trouble with some issue, you could say, you could go to them and say that hey, I know this, I have done this, and you could go and say, okay, this is done like this, not this. And that person might not forget you forever. Like they might be going through a hard time because they could not solve it, but you just go and say, okay, this is done in this way. They might remember you for a long time and tell your name to others. So by this you could get recognition and good name. Then quality of open source software improves. Like when your software is open sourced, as we talked before, uh, many people are there who just come to your repo and check all those and see if there are any problems, or if you could improve anything. So this improves the quality of your software. And open source software is usually good quality because many people develop it, but they usually maintain it in a way that it is easy for others to come and contribute. They write tests, they maintain some proper format for it to contribute, right? So the quality definitely improves. Then it helps you gain a deeper understanding. How's that? If you read the code, then you'll get to know how it's done, and you might even ask them like, uh, if you find any bugs, or if you find something which is not working, you could just go and say that, okay, how is this done? It helps you gain that, right? So yep. Cons as a contributor, I would just talk for as a in a point of a contributor. So some projects might be tricky to set up, you might not know the tech stack and you still want to contribute, sometimes because of a small bug which you know how to solve, or they might have guided you, but it's very hard to set up on your laptop or your computer, on your device. uh, some projects development might stop because as told before, people do open source as a side work, right? They just volunteer it. All are volunteers there, so some projects might stop. The development might stop. The interest might get lost, or they might not be getting contributors or not good ideas to keep on continuing that project. So they'll just stop there, and you might have wanted to contribute to it, but it's just done there, it's in archive now, you can't do anything. uh, Second is technical support or document lack of technical support or documentation. Like documentation is very important for a project. If you want to set it up and get started with it, but if it does not have documentation, then you'll be in trouble for a long time, because you might not know how to do it. And if there is no support, or if maintainers are not responding, if the team members are not responding, then it will be hard for you to get started with it. Now let's see some open source programs which will help you to get started with open source and be more familiar with it. These are few of the open source programs, which is Girl Script Summer of Code, LetsGrowMore, Google Summer of Code, Hacktoberfest, which is coming soon, and there are many more. So I'd like to say a point like, uh, do not go for Google Summer of Code if you see videos which say, let's crack Google of Summer of Code. I'm very against it, because there are clickbaity videos which say, let's crack it. It's not a place where you can just go and crack it. It's just something like where you need passion for open source, need to you are want to contribute to something, and your skills, of course. So it's not something like you see a video, your life changes, oh, I cracked Google of Summer Code. It's nothing like that. So you should definitely not go for those clickbaity videos. Just keep on improving your skills, keep on contributing, keep that spirit up for open source, and then you might get in Google Summer of Code, and you might do good work, right? Also, do not go for swags or money, because yep, open source does not make you rich, but it helps you to get people know you, like recruiters might know you. It definitely helps you get jobs and internships, but do not go for swags or something like that's the waste thing, because when you just go for materialistic things there, it doesn't mean anything. Like you went there for learning or you gained some knowledge. It's not like that, right? So if you could just go for swags and they ask you to do something and you do something, and you won't gain anything from that except the swags, if I can. So yep, stay away from clickbaity videos for Google Summer of Code, and who knows, one of you might crack it someday. Not crack it, I mean get into it. You might do good work there. So yep, even MLH having fellowship programs, which has open source track in it, so you could apply to it, and there are interviews which you need to qualify before you get into the fellowship, and you'll get a lot of insight once you get into it. So I'd say apply for that too. Now what's next after this? You could just start learning Git and GitHub, then brush up your technical skills, practice, keep on practicing and contributing. Then a few repos where you can practice your Git and GitHub skills. I'll drop the links in the chat, and that's it for today.
Yeah, that's one question, Karna. How someone can find the project? Which project will be easy to contribute, or where they can do the project?
I won't say like there are projects easy to contribute. You just need to go through explore list of GitHub, and as I said, like if you have friends or you have organizations, you have communities, like let's say Divya Shri, for example, she's on GitHub, right? So if you go to her profile or my profile, let's say, you could see the projects listed, whatever I have done. You might see that okay, this matches my technical skill. Like if I know HTML, only HTML, you might see a website, could be my portfolio. You might find a typo, or you might want to improve something there. Like suppose there's this icon on my website, right? You might want to say that no, I don't like this icon, it should be this. You could just go and do whatever you want to and contribute. That's how you start. And if you want to contribute specifically to some project, like in programs like Girl Script Summer of Code or Google Summer of Code, they give you a list of projects already listed, so listed in the program. So you might want to choose from those and see if it matches your technical skill, and go to the issues. Even if it does not match your technical skills, there is no problem in going to the issues and seeing what's there. Just go through the good firsts, or just go through the issues which normally you see, okay, I don't understand. You might not understand the issue at first glance, right? You could read it few more times, then split it into half and see, okay, this goes like this, and do it. So yeah.
Okay. So if anyone
Any
has
more
some
questions?
stuff, you can put it in the chat box. And in the session, we are having Eddie also. So
Oh, Eddie is like a god of open source,
yeah,
definitely.
he is here.
So Eddie might have lots of insights on it.
So can you please share some important things that we should know before getting into the open source? Eddie, please.
Hi everyone. Karuna has done an amazing job. I'm not sure I can add any more. All I was gonna say was Karuna did an amazing job. I think he covered everything. I'm not sure there's much more I can add. So that was really, really good. Well done. That was really great.
Thank you so much, Eddie.
Covered everything. Really, really well done. Really, really great talk, Karuna. Looking forward to seeing more live streams and videos from you, Karuna, on your YouTube channel. To be honest, like with everything, like with riding a bike, confidence takes practice, and it is quite scary at the beginning to contribute. So I recommend just practicing the workflow, forking a project, making a change, doing the commit, raising a pull request. And there are lots of practice repos out there where you can add your name to the list just for practice. Practice that, get the workflow that you need sorted, and then you can focus on some more complicated or more, adding more value to projects contribution, as Karuna mentioned. So I think it's just start. I think the worst thing that people can do is do nothing. So if they end up doing nothing and just waiting for the right contribution, for the right project, for the right time, it's never going to happen. You're never going to learn anything. So the best thing to do is just do it today. Like everyone watching, if you haven't contributed to open source before, just do it today. And it's GitHub. You can't make any mistake. You really, really can't. What's the worst thing that can happen is you delete all someone's code, you raise a pull request, and they say, no, thank you, we're not going to accept this. You still get the green square if that's what you're after, and you would have learned something. So there's really, nothing wrong that can go wrong. Obviously, by doing that, you're kind of wasting the project maintainer's time. But so I know people won't do that. But I'm giving an extreme example here. So I just think everyone should get started today. That's the biggest advice I can give, I think.
Thank you so much. So when did you start this open source? Can just one last question.
Sure. I started well over 10 years ago.
10 years.
And yes, there was no Git, there was no GitHub. It was very different landscape back then. And so now I think we're spoiled with some of these amazing tools and amazing communities. There was no Slack, there was no Discord. It was very different. So now I think people have no excuses not to contribute to open source. And it's really about collaboration first, code second. So, when we raise an issue to talk about, or even now, we've got discussions, right? We start a discussion, we talk about it, and that's collaboration. Then we raise an issue about the action we're going to take. That's also collaboration. Then we raise a pull request, and for people who don't know what a pull request is, it's effectively like an issue, but with some changes to the project attached to it. And then you collaborate after the changes on the pull request. So it is a lot of collaboration and very small about changes or code and documentation and so forth. So people just need to just get started. And like I said, there's lots of practice repos out there. But my biggest regrets in my career is two things. I only have two. One is not starting open source sooner. I wish I had started even sooner than when I did.
Okay.
And I wish I started sharing what I'm learning sooner. Growing my personal brand, public speaking like Karuna's doing. I wish I started all of that sooner, because that has opened so many doors for me. Like Karuna mentioned, having an active GitHub profile, collaborating with people, talking at events, just sharing tips on Twitter or, whatever it is, blog posts, whatever people are comfortable with. A lot of people start off with Twitter, then move to blog posts and then go to talks and then go to, live streams and videos and so on. So they just need to start, and trust me, it will open so many doors. I cannot recommend it enough.
Thank you so much for your valuable time and being part of this. Thank you so much, Eddie.
Thank you so much. This has been an amazing session, and I look forward to seeing it on your YouTube channel later on as well. It was great.